Ancient yoga texts give you a lot of wisdom. Sometimes we actually don't know, because the education we get is just 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 8, don't ask me to calculate that much. I need GPT for that, right? It's too much. It's too much, right? So we have, the yoga knowledge gives us a lot of wisdom, not just about spirituality and things, but also about this world. Because complete wisdom means complete wisdom of everything. So there is a verse there that describes the different kinds of fear people have. 9 kinds of fears everybody has, or at least one of them you have. So if you come from a family, a lineage, then you have fear that the family lineage will be lost. That's there. It's like, it's a kind of fear. Then the other one is bhoge rogo bhayam. If you are an enjoyer, if you like to enjoy, right, then you are afraid of disease. Like I have a little something on my finger and I'm like, I don't know what happened to my hand. Bhoge rogo bhayam. If you like to enjoy, you have fear of disease. Vitte nripalad bhayam. So if you are a rich, wealthy person, you are afraid of rulers or kings who will take away what you have. Vitte nripalad. So in present day context, you're afraid of the government taxing you. Mane danya bhayam. So if you are proud person, if you are like, everyone knows me, you're afraid of humiliation. So if you have like, you're a famous person, you're afraid of humiliation. Mane danya bhayam. This person, very righteous, someone of like great stature. You don't want to be humiliated because your respect is everything you've got. Bale ripu bhayam. Bale, the one who's strong, is afraid of an enemy. Right? If you're strong and powerful, undefeated, who's undefeated? Champion. Is always afraid of the next one who's going to beat them. Shastre vadi bhayam. You're known for something and someone comes along, kid comes along and shows you that I know more than you. So Shastre vadi bhayam. So if you're knowledgeable, you don't want an opponent. You want to be the undefeated champion. That's why they go on these debates, right? They'll go from one city, those who are real scholarly, they'll go from one city to the other. They'll defeat all the debaters by their logic. Is this? So these are 8 varieties of fear we've gone through. Ripe kritanad bhayam. So as long as you have a human body, you have a kaya, you have a physical body, what are you afraid of? Death. Kritanad bhayam. Everybody who has a body, every embodied person is afraid of death. Kritanad bhayam. And it goes on to say that everybody on this planet, everybody, as everybody is everything that you have to enjoy, everything of enjoyment in this world is a source of bhaya, is a source of fear. Now, our strategy generally is to laugh this off. So my point is, our approach has been that this greatest fear of humankind, the fear of death, ignore it, mock it, laugh it off. Actually, there's a very ancient story in the Mahabharata. There is a story of Maharaj Yudhishthira, a very righteous king. And they somehow, by twists and turns and manipulation, they're put in a situation that they're in the forest on exile. And he accepts it's fine, because he's a very saintly king. He's a very intelligent king. So they're in the forest and they get thirsty, he and his brothers. And they go to drink water from a place. One after the other, his brothers get killed by some mysterious unknown force. So he goes there and he sees his brothers, who are the most powerful warriors on this planet, lying dead. So he knows something's going on because no ordinary person can kill them. So he sits there, he doesn't do anything. He says, whoever it is, I'm not going to attack you. Please show yourself. And then the person shows himself as a mystical yaksha. Yaksha is kind of like another species, they have magical powers. They're not like gods, but they're powerful beings.
Like a mystic.
Yeah, so this yaksha said, I am the proprietor of this lake, came out of the water, mystical powers. He says, I've killed your brothers, but if you answer my questions, I'll bring them back to life. He has this power, like these kind of different creatures. There's creatures everywhere. So he said, okay, ask me your questions. And one of the questions he asked Maharaj Yudhishthir, he said, what is the most bewildering thing in this universe? Except for those who already know, can someone else try to think?
The most what?
Bewildering thing in this universe. The most bewildering thing in this universe is, ready? Everyone knows they're going to die. And everyone's living as if it's never going to come. This is the most, so it's illusion, avoidance of fear, and about death. So I said, you're all kind of related. So his answer was right. So he got his brothers back. But this is a very powerful point, that everyone knows, Nripe Kritanat Bhayan. Everybody, every embodied being has fear of death, but everyone's living as if it doesn't exist. But here's an interesting trend that I read about. I'm reading the Gen Z, the younger generation, all of you guys in here, have a very high percentage of people who are starting to talk about death. 35% of Gen Z are talking about or discussing death every day, which is much higher than the older generations. Did you guys know that? Those who are the anxious realists, like, what if I die? What if this is going to happen to me? Real but anxious. For them, it's causing anxiety, right? Then there is those who are activated thinkers. What will I leave behind when I'm gone? Like that kind of thinking, right? These are the people. This is if you took all the people who are thinking about death, this is how you could categorize them, right? And then there's those who are dealing with it with humor. They deal with it with humor. Well, we're all gonna die anyways, so how does it matter?
Oh.
The humorous, you hear that, right? Just one person. This is scientists that are observing. This is a behavioral scientist that's studying. They're saying this is a way people are dealing with it with human. How does anything matter anyways? Haha, it's funny.
It's like nihilism.
Yeah,
It's like it's a way of coping with it.
Mm.
And what does this kind of mentality lead to? YOLO. You only live once. And what does you only live once lead to? FOMO. I'm missing out. So these mantras, because they're man-made and they're incomplete, one problem leads to the other. And they're not solving the problem. Now I'm going to tell you some stories. Do you guys like some stories? The beginning of the Bhagavatam. This is even more interesting. Young king ruled this whole planet, had the most beautiful wife, beautiful, loving sons. His father, his grandfather was Arjuna, the main character in the Bhagavad Gita. Comes from a prestigious family. And a little teenage Brahmana boy, one of those saintly people who have some powers in them, cursed him. You have to die in 7 days. Just cursed him. Words from the mouth.
I remember this story.
And he had full power. He had full power to negate that curse, everything. But what did he do? King of this entire, not the president of a country, king of this entire planet. Can you imagine what kind of power that is? We can't even be the king of our homes. Maybe our rooms, even that we share with bugs and cockroaches, right? So what did he do? He immediately dropped everything, his kingdom, immediately passed it on, immediately. And what did he do? He went to the bank of the Ganges, and all the saintly people from all the different planets in this universe, not just this planet, all the different planets, there's life everywhere. They all heard that this saintly king, he decided to fast until death. He had 7 days left. Dropped everything, and he said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to find about what's the purpose of my life. I was thinking about this point, and I'll say this to you guys. You know what's worse than death? Guess what's worse than death?
Being reborn.
A meaningless life.
Without purpose.
A wasted life. It's worse than death. Human form of life is very rare. You have higher consciousness. You won't be satisfied living like a chicken or a dog or a cat. A dog can be happy just following the master and wagging his tongue and, tail. But you can't be happy like that. You need more. So you can't try to enjoy like a dog and let that be your only thing. So what is worse than death is a wasted life, a life without knowing what the meaning of our life is. So you are all such amazing souls that you're taking the time to think about it, to ask these questions. You know this thing, The Sun, anybody read it?
Who'd you say?
Work on existential philosophy, and he said,
Existential, you mean?
yeah, and he made this very interesting point in this book, Facing the Sun. He said, if people confront death, if you confront death, if you're ready to talk about death, right, it will change your perspective in life. He makes some very interesting observations. He said, if you start to face death, you will start to change how you look for meaning of life a bit more. Because if you're spending your entire life avoiding death, you see the entire economy is an organized way of avoiding death. If you want to see where you're invested, follow the dollar. See where your money is going. That's what you think you are. Your time is going to get the money, and your money is going to fill something, right? Isn't it true? Put that, right? So you follow the dollar and you see like, oh, I'm really invested. You'll spend on yourself, which really means your body, your rent, your clothes, your outings, maybe your immediate blood relatives, right? That means you're invested in this idea that I'm this body, those who are related to this body are mine. It's a very invested idea. I still struggle to see it sometimes, you know? Like if I have to do something for my mom versus if I have to do something for someone I know spiritually, like where would I put more? Is there a distinction in my mind? Yeah, there is a distinction in the mind. Avoiding it is not the solution. Facing it is the solution. The more you push something away, the harder it comes back at you. So this existential philosophy makes this point that if you start facing death and you accept that, it starts to change things. Death gives us indication of the impermanence of life. But we are trying to live as if this life is permanent. Can you see that in your efforts? Every day, everything in your room, you know, then a sense of urgency rises in the heart about wanting to know the permanent. The problem today is we have all fashion gurus, new age gurus, you know. We go to the store, we buy a book, and it teaches us how to be happy in this world, how to deal with anxiety, how to do this, right? How to be successful, how to make friends, how to do this, how to do that. But that's not what we need. We don't need someone to tell us how to keep dreaming nicely. We need someone to tell us how to wake up to the reality and what to do with myself. Now, you wouldn't want to wake up. Have you ever had that experience? That has happened to me before, be honest. That you don't want to wake up because you don't know what you want to do next day. You just want to like be in the bed and not open your eyes and get out. Has it happened? It's a very, it's like a sick feeling in the stomach, isn't it? So it's the same thing in life. This is all an illusion. Wake up to the spiritual reality. But if you don't know what to do with your spiritual self, why would you want to do it? Or you'll just become the energy. Or what are you going to do as an energy? You're just going to become a light. You're a light, everyone's a light. Or what are you going to do as a light? As long as nature of the soul is to be active. As long as you don't have an activity, a spiritual activity, which is called devotional service, as long as you do not have that engagement, that activity, you wouldn't have any motivation to go on. So Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, and we'll read from the Bhagavad Gita now a little bit, he doesn't take this approach of how to be successful, how to be happy. In the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, as soon as he opens his mouth, first thing he says is, Dehina asmen yatha dehe kamanam yavanam jara, tatha dehantara prapte dhiras tatra namuyati. Dehantara, end of the body. The first thing he addresses, the body is going to end. It's changing in front of your eyes, and it will change without your control. And the one who lives in this body is different from the body. Second thing he says, second thing, matra sparshastu kanteya shitoshni sukha dukkha. Happiness and distress are just contact, sparsha, between senses and sense object. There's no point pursuing them. There is no. So in the same way, happiness and distress are two sides of the same coin. Then what does he go on to say? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu, dhruvo janma mritasya. The one who's born must die. So death is something Krishna brings up in the very first beginning basic chapter. He's not even like gone into any, he's not cushioned it or prepped it. Assumes that you understand that. It's a sign of sanity. Imagine if you just gave up this fight. What would you, the question is, what can you do with your time when you're not doing this? The problem isn't the label that is missing in this world. The problem is we have no education of what are some spiritual activities to do. So that's why I encourage everybody to like start by reading these books, because it starts to open you up to some spiritual activity that can be done. Otherwise, it's just like, it's a spiritual conversation, but the activities in our life are the same. You go home and it's the same thing. We want to change. My t-shirts, my makeup, my hairstyle doesn't define me. But you're at a certain point of evolution of your desires. And you're not unique, neither am I. There's many people like us. And all of us people who are the same kind of desires, there's some steps through which we can purify our desires and go to the next level up. And then from there, there's some steps to go purify further. The point is we want to quench this fire of desire that leaves us craving all the time. More, I want more, I want. No matter what your religion, everyone experiences dissatisfaction. So we want to change that dynamic. Now that step, the next step for him, for me, for you, for this thing, in terms of lifestyle engineering may be different. The spiritual advancement step is the same. The level, forget about that. The point is the process. We're just focusing on the process, right? The process everywhere is to remember the Supreme. Correct? And the process everywhere for us is to find our own happiness on our own terms and conditions. So forget the labels for 5 minutes and understand that we need to deal with our desires. That's the main thing. How you deal with it, if you're finding it here, there, wherever, deal with it. That's the main thing.